There are many more available. So there becomes our job, the counselor's job. What are we preparing students? As our topic says, IIT, heaven or hell? It is heaven for those students who have prepared the natural way of being. There have been students, like in my school, if I say, there was a student who played, like usually the children when they're going for IITs, they go to a dummy school, they leave everything, and they just start coaching. But it could be, if the child has that passion to go join the IIT, and it may happen that this child knows everything. So one example I have, he played football, he took part in various inter-school debate competitions, he was a passionate footballer, and in the first attempt, he cleared IIT and he was in IIT Bombay. So it all depends on how we are, how the children is preparing. What happens when the children are going to these coaching institutes? They are learning the tricks of answering an exam, and they are the ones who are dropping out. They are the ones who are not happy there, and so we see a lot of dropouts from various IITs. So there becomes our role as counselors to tell them that yes, you can get into IIT, but if you want to do engineering, there are many more institutions available. Like there is a VIT, there is an SRM, there are many other new age universities which are there, which are offering engineering, but learn the correct way, not just mugging up and not just analyzing how to answer a question, but to learn the ways of how to be there and how to prepare. So that is, the children have to be taught to be prepared for the unknown which is there. So that preparation time is basically, and the emotional role of the counselor is very important. You know, there is obviously a child who's looking at IIT will look at the placements that he's going to see, and he is going to be happy with the placements that at the end of his course. But there is a disparity as far as the people who are coming out of the IITs. Most of them, they are not happy. So we, as a counselors, we have to prepare. I just want to know how many university reps are also here. Okay, thank you. Apart from IITs, we have the BITS, we have VIT. So the children alternatively can look for alternative venues. We have, like, another prominent institute is IISc Bangalore. IISc Bangalore is known for its Bachelor of Science and for the research program. It is one which is in the top QS World University rankings recently. There, apart from IISc Bangalore, we have the VIT, we have the BITS, we have Delhi Technological University, we have SRM, we have Manipal, and some more new age universities, which we'll be talking about later. KVPY is another exam which students take to enter into some colleges, especially the IISc Bangalore. Inspire, yes. Now I call on Divya to take over.
Thank you, ma'am. A warm welcome to all ladies and gentlemen. I would continue with what Asma ma'am has been discussing. Our process in India, they are complex. They have their own challenges. Parents and students, they all have to go through a lot of process. The counselors involved also has to do a lot of research to figure out and then get to a situation where it is a right fit for the student. Like IITs, another very sought after university of our country is Delhi University. How many of us are from DU? Oh, great, yes. So then you will understand what I'm trying to convey here. It is also, as I said, a very sought after institution for various reasons. It has wonderful faculties. The kind of exposure DU gives is wonderful. The kind of platform for, from sports to music to theater. We can name a number of theater personalities and actors in our country who are from Delhi University. The environment, quite liberal. you mature a lot, you get a lot of exposure. So all in all, DU has been providing a good package, and it also has one of the best lots of our country. The cutoffs are pretty high. All the best students aspire to be there. So as I said, DU is another very sought after destination, and it has its own challenges, which we'll be discussing as we go forward. And the new change, which has been very recently introduced last year, and that is the Common Entrance Test, or CUT, as you all know about it. Last year, what Delhi University and UGC decided that there's going to be one common entrance test. All of us who are from Delhi University, we know earlier the system was quite different. We used to fill form as per our preferences, which college you want to go. We fill our form, submit our mark sheets, and then there was a cutoff list. And if you get, if you're above the cutoff list, you make it. Otherwise, then you try for second list, third list, you wait for the subsequent cutoff list, and then try wherein you finally get admission. So something very new. It is initiated with a lot of good intentions, but let's try and see how it has affected, because it's been 1 year now, and our 22 batch has gone through that, and I'm sure all the counselors, yeah, okay. Okay, so is it on? I think it's on, yeah. Thank you. So I believe some problem with the mic. So I'm sure all the counselors here, they must have been talking to the students, and there must be number of queries or sharing of problems. So let's look at CUT a little bit more closely. The reasons, as I said, why it was introduced to bring about a standardization, because, see, we have so many boards in our country, CBSE, ICSE, state boards, and to evaluate students coming from different boards, I'm sure there are certain students who left completely unsatisfied, because it is all dependent on the kind of percentage you got in class 12th. So in a sense, it was a corrective measure by the government. Why? Because they want all the students to be given a even playing field. Everybody is being treated equally, because now there's an entrance test, irrespective of whichever board you are coming from. So we are going to judge the students. It was also intended to cover as many students as possible across our country, because as I said, DU is a very sought after university, students from across the country trying for that. And rightly so, in terms of the fact that, let's look at UK, USA. They have one common portal through which we apply to them, like college board has its own platforms, common app, and UCAT. So UCA, sorry, for UK. So bringing one common platform, one portal through which to apply definitely has its advantages. So this was the reason why CUT was introduced. And how the format of the CUT turned out to be. There's going to be one common entrance test, and but there are certain dichotomies, certain contradictions in terms of the universities can retain their eligibility criteria. So there are a number of universities under CUET. DU would have its own eligibility for example, say economics honors. BHU can have its own eligibility. So students need to be cautious of the fact that yes, they are giving one entrance test, but please do visit the website to try and understand the eligibility for the particular course you are applying for. It has been mandated that all the universities, central universities, will have to adopt this format, but some private universities and state universities continued with their own entrance test or other forms of giving admission to students. So yes, as I said, it was implemented last year, but we need to look at, try and understand that, is it really a common entrance test, or there are still some ifs and buts still left out, which we need to figure out and guide our students accordingly. How many counselors here in the room? Oh yes, quite a few of us. So I'm sure the questions which I'm putting here and the situations which our students faced, I'm sure it might be, some of them would be common across the country. The last batch was very anxious because they became the first one, the one who had to go through the experiment, because nobody was aware how the CUT is going to be structured in terms of kind of questions, level of questions, how to prepare, are there any sample question papers or not. So these are the questions the 2022 batch, I'm sure, asked all their teachers and counselors. And the other immediate fallout of this entrance test was the students lost interest in the board exam. Because earlier it was class 12th. Why it was so important? Because the marks was how, yeah, the cutoff. See, so it is your mark sheet, which was the entry to a lot of universities in our country. And the moment that they realize it is, I mean, it doesn't have that significance. So they automatically shifted their focus from class 12th board to the entrance test. So earlier it was JEE, CLAT, anybody who's aspiring to be in IIT or doctor or engineer, sorry, or a lawyer, we knew that there's going to be an entrance test and you have to write CLAT and JEE or NEET or etc. But now, anyone who's from a humanities background or a commerce background or looking for any other degree, so now the mode is through entrance test in our country. This is how the trend has been now in our country. And I think one more important fact that has come out that since CUET is mostly based on NCERT, so the schools where there's an NCERT books used, they have an edge. They found it more comfortable as compared to the students or the schools where the NCERT books are not being used. There was also a little bit of disappointment because the students felt that, of course, now there's a common entrance test like US and UK, but still it's the marks which has still been the predominant thing as far as getting admissions, and they're not giving any space to mention the extracurricular, co-curricular, or any other achievements. But the process continues. It's only been the first year. Let's say how it progresses further and impacts our students. But I'm sure all of us have been reading this in newspapers. It has become, the process has stretched. Perhaps it's the first year, and even UGC is trying to figure out and facing some glitches, as we all do whenever we try and initiate something. So I think some patience from our part is also required. So there are 3 phases in this. I'll quickly go through the process because we all know about it. The first phase, forms are filled to select the course. For example, what I'm trying to say here, that I wish to apply for economics honors, so I fill the form and choose economics honors, that this is what I'm applying for. Second phase is, you will give the exams and then you will submit your score. Whichever marks I got in CUET, I will submit the score, and then the third phase is the seat is allocated. So somewhere it is looking a little bit more complicated when we look at it. Earlier it was, give our 12 boards, fill the form, and the cutoff list comes. So now there are 3 steps into that. And the recent proposal, which we all are aware that now, what the proposal is, the UGC is trying to club in even JEE and NEET under CUET. So there's going to be one entrance test, which will not only would be instrumental in getting admission into commerce and humanities, but also for engineering and medicine. So I think in a way it is a wonderful development if there's one common test. I think it is meant to help our students to get and to minimize the complications. But let's see how it goes forward from here. But it has also been witnessed that not all universities have adopted CUET as of now. They have their own eligibility criteria. In certain universities, they have only added few of their programs under CUET, rest they're continuing with their old process. So it doesn't seem to be such a common test as of now. As Asma ma'am had shared, that apart from IITs, there are also very wonderful technical colleges which students can aspire. Likewise, apart from Delhi University, we also have wonderful institutions like IIM Indore, thank you very much, ma'am. IIM Rohtak, IIM Ranchi. So apart from Delhi University, there are other also wonderful premium institutions in our country from where students can aspire and try and get an admission. So the salient points about the Indian admissions that have come across, if we try and club them, be it engineering or technical or non-technical programs, that the academics continues to be the most prominent thing in our country as of now. We are still basing our decision to give an admission in any particular university entirely on our marks, be it 12th marks or any entrance test. It continues to be ruthlessly competitive. The competition is so severe, this data shared by Asma ma'am definitely shows that how difficult it is to get through an IIT. It is not at all, it is not for faint-hearted to even try and attempt JEE. Scores continue to be important. Talent and skills, yes, as a counselor, I cannot say they are not important, but they have become, they are still the latent support. There are very few universities who are asking students clearly, openly, that apart from academics, what you can do, what you are good at. We also conducted a counselor survey. I'm sure a few of you here sitting here must have participated to try and understand what's happening in their school, how their students are feeling and reacting to CUET and other changes. So the points which came up was that, yes, now the attention of the students is diverted towards entrance test rather than 12th and the school curriculum. Classroom interactions are somewhere losing out their importance. I would not say lose out their importance, but the focus is shifting. We need to re-emphasize to the students that this is important. They are only driven by the fact that to get through a university, it is an entrance test, prepare for that, rather than what's happening in a class. I think quality of education might be under scanner in terms of how the school interaction should be, how a classroom delivery should be. The admission process still needs to be structured, simplified, because it continues to be still baffling. Students are still confused what to do first, what comes next. Even the counselors, we also get confused sometimes filling forms. And marks still continue to be the main criteria. We also, Asma ma'am and me, we also involved ourselves in discussing the same thing with our students across different schools. What is their perspective? They also feel the process is still, it has multiple layers. So many times you are filling a form, so many times you are chasing deadlines. As far as CUET is concerned, yes, it is easier or relatively easier for students who have CBSE curriculum, and students who start early. By that I mean who get a little more conscious little earlier in terms of that they have to write an entrance test. They have an edge over the ones who wait a little bit more. I would be requesting Asma ma'am to please continue from here. Ma'am, use this mic.
So as we have been discussing, there are various other alternative venues also for the student. So like we have liberal arts in IITs, we have liberal arts in other new age universities as well. So it could be Ashoka, Flame, Kriya, and the science universities. If there is a BTech, there is a BTech in Plaksha as well. There are OP Jindal, and there are many more universities. These are just to name a few of them, who are where there are alternatives. Why only IIT? That is our DU. There are many other alternative venues as well. So earlier, the ways of admissions, as Divya said, we had the academic scores and entrance tests. But now there are new way of admissions that are there. There is a personal interview, there is a co-curricular assessment, there could be a group discussion and a personal interview. Recommendation letters are required. There is a portfolio, there is a statement of purpose, as only some students earlier in our schools, they used to write only when they had to go to UK or the US. But now, this way is changing as far as Indian admissions is also concerned. There is a leadership role in school. That means here also we are moving towards holistic profile. So what should we do as counselors, and how do we help our students? The students, we will have to tell them, like there are some students who say, why so many activities if we have to build a profile, what happens to our academics? So we'll have to teach them, and it is us elders only, to have a balance between academics and the non-academics. That is the key to achieving the best possible result. We can prepare a roadmap from early, as Divya said, early stage. So we can prepare a roadmap so that the children can achieve that balance. And as counseling should start early in class 8, grade 8 or grade 9. Understand the requirement of the college that the children wants to apply to. And most students, they ignore this. They start working on their qualities which are not aligned to what their course that they want to do. So that is what we have to teach them, because colleges are evaluating the holistic profile nowadays. And so we have to teach them the best fit that they have to apply to. Now, there are some challenges as far as applications to the new age universities is concerned. I am apologizing to the university reps who are here, but we do face challenges when the children are applying to the new age universities. First of all, they are also equally competitive. It's not that they are not competitive like the IITs. There is a new campus, like we have a campus in Bangalore, so then another day we will hear of there's a campus in New Delhi, there's a campus in Faridabad, there's a campus in Lonavala, and so on. So their campuses are expanding. Now, the children then ask us, we have got into so-and-so university, in this campus, do we take it? It's fairly new. So the university reps should tell us, the counselors, or give us some information about their campuses that have expanded and the courses available in different campuses. So that is one challenge that we face. The children, it becomes expensive for some parents because they have to block their fees. They also want to play safe. They want to pay the fees in one institute where they've got admission, so they play safe, the fees are blocked, and then if they get admission into another university, then they have to withdraw from one and go to another one. Then there's one, that is one. So parents there have to be convinced for admitting the children to the new age universities. It's a task for us as counselors to tell the parents, it is new, but it will be good. So have trust, have faith. And that has come up because we are a body which is, working on collaboration. Like the parents as well as the teachers, the counselors, and the university reps. So their credit to the university reps. Now, since they have also competitive, where will an average student get admission in India? IIT is very competitive, DU very competitive, New Age University is also very competitive. Where is an average student going to go to? And all students are not 85%ers, there are some who are scoring less. So we have to think of, when we were doing the survey, we found out some some school counselor said, it is easier to place a student in a US university than to place that student in an Indian college. So we have to think about it. What are we looking at for the average student who's average in academics, not too bright, neither does have the sports quota or the ECA quota that we have in some universities. So where should we go? Academics still predominates. But we in our schools are giving importance to all the activities that are there. It could be sports, it could be games, it could be dance, music, drama, theater, everywhere. So where is a student who has this going to? And because those new age universities also place academics 85% and above, not less than 85%. So where will a 65%er go and study in India? A question which is unanswered, we all have to think about it. That is the greatest challenge that we have here.
Thank you, ma'am. We have been discussing a lot when we were preparing this presentation because we agree there are lots of challenges. I think university representatives, counselors, it's not something we don't know or we have not been facing. I think parents and students, everybody asks the same questions. But then, what is the way forward? There has to be a solution or place for everyone because in our country, I think all the academic aspirations are very high. Everybody wants to get a very decent degree. And when we look at the changes that has been, which our government is trying to incorporate, the accreditation bodies, which is in a very, very positive direction. And it looks that the coming age is going to be very flexible, and which is very promising, and that gives us some kind of a solace that, of course, it's no more that rigid or tight jacket in our country. It's going to be very flexible, wherein students would be able to change streams, look at programs which have very interdisciplinary kind of a nature, and they can also pick and choose what they wish to study. Everybody need not be 90-95% or have compete for the kind of entrance and cutoff marks Delhi University have had in last few years. So I think flexibility is definitely one thing which we believe should be there, and we are hoping that definitely it is going with NEP and all the changes coming. So this could perhaps be the answer. In fact, I think going forward, the top institutions would also agree that interdisciplinary nature of education is becoming essential. As I'm sure all the university reps have been trying to talk, and there are a number of other sessions going on which have been talking about why it is so important, and how is it going to change the sort of the nature of the whole education system, and the kind of graduates we are producing and the kind of jobs they would eventually have. I think as both at a professional and personal level, interdisciplinary nature of education is going to benefit all of us. And the coming time is definitely going to see this change even in the top IITs and IIMs and the top central universities of our country. The universities would definitely be more autonomous in the years to come in terms of they would have this ability and the freedom to do to figure out a program wherein there's a particular student who has talent in certain fields, and they have the right and liberty to figure out a program for the student, guide him or her, and which I think is the need, because universities, they also intend to provide education to all the students, have their best of the interest in their mind, and perhaps this could definitely be one of the answers which would help the kind of challenges we have been talking about. Open learning system, yes, I think our country has, let's look at from the economics point of view what I'm talking about. Education is getting expensive, and India is no more a country wherein it is very accessible to even our citizens. It is not that only the parents who are aspiring for US or UK or any other destination has to keep the fact in mind that yes, it's expensive and there are finances involved into that. Now we are also talking about scholarships, and we are also talking about saving for higher education. So it is no more accessible in terms of economics and finances. So I think open learning systems would definitely help a lot of us in getting higher education, quality higher education. And we are hoping that the new universities which are coming up, they would further simplify their application process, admission process, eligibility criteria. And I'm sure it's not a thought which comes in our mind. I think they're probably, and perhaps they understand it better and also working on the same. Okay, we'll straight away go to questions. I think this is all from our side, and now we are open for questions. Yeah, please, ma'am. Ask my ma'am.
Where they are still, there are parents who still have the traditional mindset of the DU or the IIT, and how do you deal with that expectation? Because it sometimes gets difficult.
Yes, I agree with you. It gets very difficult. And the only thing which I have been using, it may be, I use data. Meaning the children who went into a traditional university, what are they doing? And the children who have been into a new age university, what are they doing? It's not that the traditional universities children are not doing well. They are doing very well. They have good placements, good offers, but that data does help them to divert or to change whatever they have been thinking. It could be vice versa. It could be both. So that collection of data and giving them some statistics, giving them, showing them examples of where those children were, or even trying to call over those students and make them meet. What did you do in that particular college or school, and how did you go about it? So that meeting, alumni connect is what we call. So if we have that, that does help to make a difference. Any other questions before? Yes, ma'am.
So I think that course has become extremely popular, and when I was checking on it, it's an online course and not an, do you have any insight? I mean, how how would it help students to, it seems like it's a course for people who are already pursuing some other course,
Yeah,
and this is
they
more
can
like
do
an
side by
add-on.
side. Yes, that is what
Yes.
child was doing. He could do it side by side with his course, and some children of them, some of them have even completed their BTech and then done that course.
So it's more like
yeah.
an add-on
Yes,
and can't
add-on
be the
courses. That is, the
only
short-term
degree.
courses are basically the add-on courses, and they may be in different, like they're not the normal BTech, but the short-term 5 months course it is.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Another question I had was, you'd refer to Olympiads. Now, there are so many type of Olympiads which are happening nowadays. There's NSO, there's International Olympiad. Are they all relevant, or only the International Olympiad holds?
International Olympiads are the ones who are most recognized, because I agree there are a number of Olympiads and God knows how many kinds of competitions coming up. The ideal or the right way to figure out which the university is accepting is go to their website. Most of the time they very clearly mention what kind of marks, what kind of CGPA they're expecting, and which particular Olympiad they're talking about. Perhaps they are looking at gold medal also. So yeah, I think the websites are the right places to figure out which one is the correct for any particular university. Yeah.
Thank you.
And ma'am, we also, answering to your question, ma'am, answering to your question, we also connect our parents with the universities sometimes if they are not aware or they are not able to understand the reality check when we talk to them. So that can also be one way wherein they are convinced of if there's any other thing in their child's mind.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
To the last point that you've written, being instrumental in setting up admissions processes at both Kriya and Plaksha, it would have been so much easier for me if I had said, okay, we are holistic, 75% academics, 25 ECAs, my job would be done. Yeah. But honestly, if we are going all out and saying holistic, then we have to be truly holistic. Because India is such a diverse country that I get a student from a government school in Patna or even Charkhi Dadri. I just interviewed a girl from there. And then I get a student from, say, Heritage or Pathways or something who's had immense opportunities. So if I put in place a metric or a rubric which says international hai, you get 24 out of 25, school, inter-school hai, so you get 4 out of that wouldn't work for that girl sitting in Charkhi Dadri, right? She has not got those opportunities. For her, simply having coached for cricket in school means a lot. So I cannot have a one side, holistic admissions is very complex. And it takes, a minimum of 15 to 16 hours for me on every application. So we are truly trying to do that. But when we do something like that, we can't play with numbers. We can't have too many applications. So we are starting small, I know, but we are hoping that this will influence admissions across the country. People, and I know Azim Premji is here. There are some wonderful organizations, institutions here, but you're right, Asma, they are also very competitive. Very competitive already because we have very small numbers to deal with. But I think everyone has to recognize that a student is much more than a score. And students have to understand that there are other opportunities besides feeling small about not making it out of 15 lakh students where the seats were only 6,000. So they have to understand it's not a reflection of their capability at all if they didn't do well in that exam.
Thank you so much for bringing that point, and it's a very relevant point because we become helpless at times when we are facing parents and students that why were we rejected or why we did not get the offer of admission. So if something from note from the universities could be, sent out to the school that these are the things which are missing in the application, that would be of great help to us. And there are so many new age universities. Why don't we have something like a common app for Indian universities? So like we have a common app where there are so many, we have 17,000 above colleges in India. So apart from I'm not talking of the government ones, the private universities are coming up in good numbers and they are doing very well. So if we could plan out, or some could take the initiative, something like where it will simplify the Indian admission process also. So food for thought, somebody some years later, we may have something like that. Yeah, there's a question there. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, great session, Asma. Kachi, a big shout out to you. Love the Kriya admission process. It's beautiful. Two or three things to add. There's another side to this. So, the new age universities, which are happy to look at holistic admissions and all of that, somehow parents have a block. They think that they're not competitive enough.
Yes, I agree.
And
We put that.
they would still just want to go with a university which looks at the marks or at an entrance exam. So that block is very, very something we really need to work on. I think what's helping me is I'm really encouraging parents to make college visits. I don't know why Indian parents don't do it. It's a trend in the US or anywhere else that you do make college visits once your child grows up. And it's so easy. Many of them are living around Delhi. Many of the universities are around big cities. It's quite easy, but it's just not a done thing. So I think if as counselors we could promote that starting grade 9th onwards, they should take, when they're going to a city, visit a university in that city. I think that would help us a lot. I think there's been some talk about this common platform. There was somebody called No Papers. Something had started. I haven't heard about it again, so I don't know. I'm imagining it didn't go too well. But yeah, that would be amazing. It would be so wonderful to have a common platform. The third thing, I think sometimes, and this I've been speaking and I'm really known to speak my mind, I think some private universities really kill their own thing, because what happens is, India comes from a very archaic mentality. The minute a university makes a call to a parent, they think this university is not good enough to go to. So I would imagine, don't market. I think you're doing yourself a disservice the minute you start reaching out to parents and students, because that's a mentality we're dealing with. They're happy to get people from the US or others to reach out to them, but the minute a Indian university starts sending them mails, they think, you have to walk in here. Like, we are not, it's not a great university. They want us very badly. So, easily. Yeah, so we love that super selective thing, right? It has to be very difficult.
Parents. Like, how are they giving admission so quickly, meaning they don't have applications? So their acceptance
So that
rate is so
negative
high.
mentality
That is
goes.
also a problem. I was like, what to say?
So the best fit conversation, very, very important, very difficult, slow and long, but very important. And I think involving parents very early on, very important.
Which grade, I would like to know, which grade do you all engage? Grade 9, do you also do it? We do it from grade 9. Do you all do it before grade 9?
We like to start from grade 4, where my school starts, but we don't have the bandwidth, right? We have one or two
But
people.
grade 4, what would you do?
So I would say starting talking to parents from that age. Because parents are, when they enter a college, at least like my school, they would say, we only want to send our child to Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, and then DU. And then that's it. The list ends there, right? Or maybe an IIT or something. So the parent conversations, I truly believe, need to start very, very early. And I've heard a few schools talk about it, that, they're talking to their primary schools, and lots of questions come in at that age, because parents are making decisions based on final things. But I think it's never too early to start talking to parents. Children, 9th, 10th is good enough.
They are
But
well
parents,
aware.
I wonder, what would you talk to grade 4, even parents, yeah.
everything, whatever. So all the stuff that we're talking about, the new liberal age colleges, what is liberal arts and sciences,
Okay.
all of
General
that.
topics,
So
giving
just so
them
that they start,
understanding
because
about-
otherwise they're not ready.
Also, we can tell the parents that we can encourage the child to do what the child likes.
Yes, and yeah. And instead of parents, one can also involve the alumni of that particular, like even if one child has gone to a new university, that child can come and talk to the others. And because the students relate more to their students, their seniors. So that is also one thing which can be done and which we have been doing. Yes, Pragati ma'am.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Mahita was saying. We had our first parent orientation ever in my career for grades 1 till 12 parents. So that question is very relevant, and they want to know what the trajectory of a student is going to be and how they can support the child right from the beginning. So it's not about careers and universities for them. For them, it's financial planning. For them, it's, what kind of personality do I need to focus on? How to let them just be, how to, encourage them to do things beyond the classroom, and how that shapes their future towards, a successful career, not just a great admission. And adding to, what Sapna was saying, is that Indian universities are evolving big time. And we as counselors are really keen on sending our students to India. We know that it is emerging as the strongest economy in the world. Parents are keen on sending their students, but we do not have a common platform where we can access all the information parents can access. So something like Common App, as you were talking about, Asma, would do wonders, because it's not just an application portal, but also a resource portal where I can access a DU, I can access an IIT, but I can also access Jain University, I can also access, a Rishihood University. I can access a variety of universities across India. We have a lot of, portals which give us information about government universities, but it is very confusing for parents and students to understand the process. So thank you so much, wonderful session.
Thank you so much. I just want to, please continue. Yeah.
No, I was also thinking, adding to the discussion in the room, one of the things perhaps we could do is also look at the NIRF ranking. I'm not saying it is the best, but it's good to look at the ranking and look at the consistency, and then try and go to the departments and see if the departments are doing well. For many of the children in the gifted education program, I tell them, try and see how do you look at a research group you want to be a part of, and then set your trajectory to reach the research group. Don't look at one group, because you may not be able to enter there if it's competitive, but have a list of 3 or 4 groups. Keep your priorities and work towards it. Take opportunities to attend sessions where you hear the professor with whom you want to work. Follow his work. Try and see what he's doing. See if you can sort of get any opportunity that you can get into that group. Maybe talk to his doctoral students, talk to his postgraduate students that he teaches. And if he's offering any courses online and he's having an outreach program, try and be part of it. Get his attention by raising questions during the sessions. So I think you have several of these alternative avenues, and I personally think looking at career options should be earlier than 9th grade. I think you should be looking at it from the 4th, 5th grade. They will move. They are not going to stick on to what they want, but I think they have time to decide, enter into areas, decide that's not where my passion is, then get into another area and they think that's the passion, rather than quickly make a decision, because by 12 or by 10th, you have to decide your stream. That's how India is. Although NEP is offering an option of mixing the two and moving streams, for it to happen is going to be difficult.
One question. There's a question at the back also. I think we can take these 2 questions and then.
No, I'm just adding to the discussion. I was Rajgopal. I'm from Azim Premji University. So I was in a session at Pondicherry talking about what is higher education, what do you learn in college? Why are you going to college, right? So students stopped me and said, can you do this session for my parents? Okay. So don't go further, right? Yeah. But I'm not trained to talk to parents, but if you're speaking to parents, I'm glad somebody said you did from 1st to 12th. I think you have to talk about, parents are concerned about jobs, right? That's the thing. I think that's the major concern. So you have to tell them that we really don't know how the work scenario is going to look like in 2040 or 2045, and our kids are going to be working beyond 2045. So we have to do and give them a higher education preparation, insulating them from the changes there. And that's what most of the universities are trying to do, right? So that could be one trigger point for them to start thinking that education's, of course, preparing for a job, but beyond that, right? So I'll stop here.
Last
Thanks.
question at the back, I believe.
Can I just put a point here? myself already. Hi, I'm Nidhi. I come from a very remotely located schools, Vidya Gyan Leadership Academy under Foundation, Shivnadar. So, thanks to Kachi and universities like these, because when I joined about 4 years back this school, because these students are coming from a income background of 1 lakh per annum families. So the entire life is either you have to be engineers or medicine. And that means AIMS or IIT. Right, but the universities like Plaksha, Kriya, Flame, Ashoka, I think the system that they have come, where they come and orient our students, the faculty engagements that they're doing. So, now today, the CUET results are still not out, but 70% of my batch is already in private universities. So it just worked so organic. I didn't have to actually do it. But because these people came to us and did that engagement in a year long, and really thank you for the kind of programs, engagements are happening, so if it's happening for the students in the rural backgrounds, I think for the urban, it should just float, So yeah, that's one point that's been happening. And thank you for getting this, because I know last 4 years how we have moved from IITs today where our students are in Plaksha, just giving an example. But, and I genuinely feel this is an era for UG. If I was given an option, I'm a through DU, MA, Masters, everything. Given an option, I would want to go back for my UG to any of these universities. Because beautifully the clubs are engaged. When you were briefing about the, the theater at DU and the clubs, I was wondering what clubs did I have in my college, because I'm from a DU. But I know the clubs that are existing in these universities. So if my age wasn't a barrier, I would have done my UG back. Trust me, this is an era for us to be here and completing our UG from private universities in India. So surely, yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wish to add some information for what Pragati ma'am said. And now, age is not the criteria to join any degree. That clarification I just wish to give. And Government of India is conducting all the university examinations through NTA, National Testing Agency. And for the first time now, common university entrance examination is done all across the country. And total information about all the universities, more than 90% of the universities' information is available in NTA portal. So it might be useful for all the counselors who are looking for more additional information about various universities in our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Just one point. I believe that the wonderful discussion we've just had. And I think mindset is something very important thing which we all have to deal with and battle with. Not everybody need not be into Delhi University or IIT. I think vocational education is something which is highly neglected in our country. Dealing with parents and students, somebody said they don't want to go to a particular university because they feel it's approaching them very, very, very diligently. But I think mindset is something which I think we all need to deal very, very seriously in every day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for this wonderful discussion. I think this was more engaging. And I have a quote which is a very old one from 1955. The ideal engineer is a composite. He's not a scientist. He's not a mathematician. He's not a sociologist or a writer. But he has to use the knowledge and techniques of any or all of these disciplines in solving engineering problems. This person wrote in 1955, and I think it is most appropriate even in today's time. So thank you so much. I've got that timer there. Thank you so much for this engaging discussion which happened at the end, and looking forward to seeing you again at some time. Thank you, everyone.